Welcome everybody to the Wonder Boldly podcast. I'm Christine Santos, bringing to you all of the action steps and knowledge I've learned on my journey to becoming an online business owner, quit my corporate job, and now live the life that I desire on my own terms. This podcast is jam-packed with all the knowledge I've gained over the past few years growing my online business. I am so passionate about you going after what it is that you want. I want to encourage and motivate you to know that you too can live the life that you desire. Thank you so much for listening. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wonder Boldly. Today's episode is part 2 of our 4-part series in facing your fears as you grow your business. So if you didn't listen to part 1, go back and listen to that because I've given you some tools there so that you can take some action now and face your fears. So today's episode is specifically about facing the fear of judgment. And this shows up in many ways, sometimes overtly, and sometimes we don't even realize it. So one example that was obvious to me when I started 4 years ago in the online space was I was afraid to put my face out on social media. And how did I address this? I started talking about it. I actually talked to my family about this because we had a rule in our house that we weren't on social media, that our faces weren't on social media. So I obviously had to have a sit down with my family when I decided to do this because I didn't want to be a hypocrite and say, no, you can't be on social media. And then I start showing up on social media. Secondly, I started working with a mentor and a business bestie, and we met in a class and we started communicating, and I started seeing her Instagram and she was putting her face out there, and I shared with her some of my concerns. So my concerns were fear of judgment, fear of somebody watching and saying, what is she doing? I was in corporate at the time, so I was really worried that people in corporate would be watching and judging and making fun or whatever. And then I was also fearful of exposing myself, putting myself out there. I didn't really like that aspect of it. So what did I do? So honestly, it sounds very cliche, I know, but I was meditating, I was journaling, and this wasn't specific to that fear, but it was specific to the fears of growing my online business. And in that, I knew there were things that I had to do if I wanted to grow my business. And for me, one of them was showing up on social media. So it was a goal I had, and I had to take steps to do that. So I got the support from my family because that works for me. I received support from a business bestie and mentor. And then I started taking small steps and taking action. So I planned on how I would go about that. So I planned on, Mondays I would show my face on social media. Tuesday I would just have a static post, just some words. Wednesday would be maybe a graph. So I had a whole week planned out of when I would show my face and when other times it would be just graphics. And I remember the first time I showed my face and I was waiting for all the comments, all the haters, whatever I was thinking would happen. And of course, guess what happened? Yep, you guessed it. None of that. I don't even think, I'd have to go back and look, but I don't even think anybody even commented. So I started to build my confidence, and that's what you can do. So whatever you're fearful of in regards to judgment, we have to really be comfortable with who we are and what we're going for and knowing our why. So I was doing this because I wanted to grow my business. Really knowing your why, really writing that down, journaling, meditating, going really deep, and not just the first answer to the why. Not like, why am I doing this? Well, I want to grow my business. Well, why do I want to grow my business? I want to be able to support myself financially so I can be with my family more in a different capacity than I was currently. Well, why do you want to do that? Well, because my mother's getting older and she's had a really rough childhood and we've had a really rough life up until this point together. And it was really important for me to show her how much I loved her and spend time with her. And also my husband had had a heart attack. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want time to slip away and not spend it with the people I love, because that was really important to me. So you need to take action. Those action steps are journal, meditate, really going within, asking yourself why, and going really deep on your why. Then the action step is to put a plan in place. Put a plan in place with small baby steps. Small baby steps meaning maybe you just write down, I am going to take a picture of myself today. How do I look? Let me try a different top. If your thing is, in my example, the putting your face out on social media. Maybe your example is, I really want to start a podcast. I want to grow my audience. You know, like that's one of the best ways that you can do that. And you're fearful of getting your voice out there. You don't know what you're going to say. Maybe you don't know how your voice sounds. So maybe one of your steps is you start recording your voice and listening to it and trying different topics and just talking into a recorder for you to listen back to it. Then you can tweak your messaging. Then you can tweak what you're saying. What is the theme? What is your goal of your podcast? And just practice with yourself. And then you can think about getting excited. So staying on the podcast example, which reminds me, I am a podcast producer. That's why it's such an easy example for me. And I help edit people's podcasts. I help produce their podcasts. So if you are looking to launch a new podcast, or you've been doing it and you want to gain back some time, definitely DM me over on Instagram at Christine B. Santos. I'd be happy to help you. I love being a podcast producer and I love editing. I've done hundreds and hundreds of episodes. My clients' podcasts are doing so well, and it's just a great way to get your voice out there. Okay, so going back to you wanting to start a podcast in that example. Maybe you're fearful of getting your message out there. So start just recording on your phone. Start formulating what it is that you want to say. What's your goal? What is your message? And who do you want to hear that message? Start just taking those baby steps. I also can share with you a quick cheat sheet on what you need to know to start a podcast. Don't get overwhelmed. You don't need all the bells and whistles like you hear. It doesn't need to be this really, really extravagant microphone, really extravagant system. Reach out to me. I can totally help you. And I think on my checklist of items, the only thing you're paying for would be the host of your podcast. And that's super cheap. Mine is $12 a month. So it's definitely doable. Don't get lost in the sea of the noise that it's really hard to get it going, because it's really not. Okay. So maybe one of your action steps is reach out to me for that checklist. Just so you can kind of see, okay, what does it entail? What are we really talking about here? Is this really something that I want to do? And face my fear of judgment of people hearing my voice and my message. So these are action steps you can take. Also, I want you to build that confidence. So every time you set a goal for yourself, an action step for yourself, and you accomplish that, you meet that, you're building your confidence, and that's going to take you to the next thing. So don't take on too much, especially if it's something that is really something that you're fearful of being judged. Go at it slow. Take baby steps. Maybe you're out at a party or out with friends and you share your message at the restaurant, at the table while you're eating, and just to see how it lands, just to hear your voice, to be part of that conversation. Maybe that's not even your normal conversation style. So maybe sharing your message with your friends and with family will help you to gain some confidence there so you can go to a wider audience. The other thing I want to add in regards to fear of judgment is take a look at what that means. Why are you fearful of being judged? What is going to happen? What's the worst that's going to happen? And kind of play that out. So for me, going back to when I started my podcast and being on social media, I started my sort of at the time, a side hustle. I was worried about my coworkers in corporate, and I thought, they're going to judge me. And then I thought, well, why does that really matter? I wasn't saying anything that I'd be embarrassed about. Maybe they didn't agree with me. Maybe they didn't agree with my messaging. But that's okay. That's part of it. We know when we go into business that we are not going to be for everyone. We know that. We hear that all the time. You have to find your people. So, of course, there are going to be people that are going to make fun or don't agree. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you perceive yourself. What matters is that you are true to yourself. And if you are comfortable with the way you are showing up, that's all that matters. And then keep showing up. Keep sharing your message. Keep showing your face. Keep putting out the work, the product, whatever it is that you have to offer to the world. Keep putting that out, and you're going to gain confidence from that. And you're going to take one step and then another step and then another step. And all of that forward momentum is going to help you become resilient. And you are going to need resiliency in this online business space. And resiliency is something we all need as humans. Life can be challenging. Business can be challenging. We need to be resilient. So you're not only growing your business, you're not only facing this fear, you are building your confidence and building your resilience. Please reach out to me in the DMs if you want my podcast checklist, if that is something that you have been thinking about, but have kind of been shying away from it or not really sure what it all entails. I'm happy to share that with you. It's totally free. I get really excited to help people start their podcast because I'm biased. I love podcasts. So if you too love podcasts and you want to start your own podcast, definitely reach out and get out there and conquer your fears. And you will go, it doesn't even matter that I was going to say, and you will go far. It doesn't even matter. You are going to feel so good about yourself, which then trickles into your family, your loved ones, your friends, your community. It's all for the greater good. That's why I'm so passionate about this. That's why I want you to go after your dreams, because I know when you're feeling confident and you're feeling happy, you're out there in the world that we share and you're sending out positive vibes and you're making an impact. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. That's the best gift we can give each other. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, it would mean the world to me if you'd give it a 5-star review and recommend it to a friend. I so appreciate you listening, and I hope that these episodes motivate you and inspire you to go after your dreams. Until next time, continue to wonder boldly.